we start Miller indices? We need to know what is the lattice concept. We have done that. What is unit cell? We have done that as well. Crystal axis, we know that. Crystal system, remember the Bravais lattices and the crystal systems that we did. Monoclinic, orthorhombic, cubic, all this we have done. And then we know what is primitive, FCC, BCC, okay, which make up the Bravais lattice. Primitive like cubic, then simple cubic, all right. So all these lattices that are there, you have done that. In case you have any more confusion, they ask you that you can even go to this site, atomic scale structure of materials. This is a material chemistry website actually. And in there, our thing is there on Miller indices, because material chemists use Miller indices a hell lot. They always need that to try to show defects, boundaries between planes, how the planes have defects. So that is a lot. We are not going to do so much. We are going to just do a basic introduction to these Miller indices. So this was developed by William Hallowes Miller the first time. And everybody can see this window, right? Because this is the first time I am trying this. I'm not sure. Everybody can see the window. It is clear to all. Can someone respond, please? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
Miller indices was given by William Hallowes Miller. And what he did was, we are going to see in a while, that he used the Cartesian and gave some name ABC to XYZ and used a reciprocal method to actually get always whole numbers like integers, which are very easy to define. And this particular pattern he made is now used even in instruments like XRD instruments, for example. All right. So they use this and calculate the diffraction pattern out of X-rays. Okay. That kind of gives you an idea about the crystal lattice, if there is twining in the crystal, if there is dislocation. So powder XRD, single crystal XRD, all these things, they can actually give you this idea. Let's go to the index, how to index a lattice plane. So for that, you need to know a lattice. You can see a lattice moving in the screen right here. Sorry. Yeah, that should be okay. So this lattice, you can see that is a 3D lattice. Okay. And now let us look at this. This is a 3D array of atoms in a primitive cubic lattice. Why do I say that? See, on top of each other, simple cubic type, on top of each other. That is not a closed package. Now, you see how this is, right? Simple cube. What is the unit cell here? Let's ask that question. This one cube is the unit cell, isn't it? This one cube. Because that is repeating in every direction. So you see how this animation chalks out everything, throws out and comes back to the unit cell. Let's go back once more. So we see this is the thing, and then it chops out, and you see how it comes back to the unit cell. So along this axis is the X, let me put it, along this axis is the Y, and along this axis is the Z. So this is your XYZ. Now your XYZ is converted to ABC, because so that when you do reciprocals and all, you are not confused with the Cartesian. So the X is renamed as A, Y is renamed as B, and Z is renamed as C. And they are always following this XYZ convention. Please do remember that. Now we say that we have a plane. You see this kind of flesh colored or pink colored thing that is coming on the monitor. Okay, and this is a plane. Okay, so now this plane is intercepting the XYZ axis. If you look at different points, for example, here it's not exactly intercepting at this point, right? It's somewhere in between. You guys can see my cursor, my mouse?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Okay, because so sorry for bothering you so much, because I'm not able to figure out that you are getting it or not. So now here also in Z axis, it's not going to this purple ball. It's sitting somewhere in between. In this Y axis, it is actually matching with this purple ball. That is where the intercept is. So let's look how to predict this intercept. It's very easy. At the X axis, more or less you can see it's around a by 2. You have to assume, because nobody is going to give you a scale saying this is half, this is 3/4. Nobody does that. So it's based on your idea of the cube. So the drawing will be done nicely like it is done here, and then here also you will see in z axis also it is c by 2. So there it is, and in y axis of course it's the whole y axis. So I take that this is unity, this is the unit cell, so this is 1. So I will say that in y axis or b it is 1. So this is a half, b 1, c half. Then you take the reciprocal of this. Remember, if you have a pen and paper, you had half, 1, half. So if you take reciprocal, you get 2, 1, 2, and that is your Miller indices. Sometimes just taking the reciprocal is not enough. You might have to divide it. Sometimes you have to divide it with a common factor. So as we move along, we'll see this. Mostly this will be enough. So you get a feeling that, okay, I have a plane which is 2, 1, 2. So you see, you took out the fractions. And this 2, 1, 2 is not just this plane. There can be many planes. In fact, in the next unit cell, there can be one more plane, which may be actually 4, 2, 4. That can also be simplified as 2, 1, 2, because the 2 can be taken common, and that has no meaning. After the thing is taken common, it can be discarded. It just tells you that you have moved to another unit cell using this as origin. So the parallel set of set of planes will have the same Miller indices. That is what I am trying to say, and we will see this very soon. So what I said, that if in the Miller indices are now described, that along A, B, and C, I have indices H, K, and L. Okay, H, K, and L along A, B, C. So that means the intercepts are 1 by H, because it is related in a reciprocal fashion, 1 by K, and 1 by L. Okay, so if the resulting indices contain fraction, after doing the reciprocal, multiply throughout to give integer values of HKL. So all these are the least quantity. Like you cannot multiply something with 100 if 10 multiplication with 10 gives the value, because then again you will have to divide. So we'll see it as much as we move. I hope you are able to now get this thing inside your head, that when we have this XYZ Cartesian coordinates, we convert them to A, B, and C, and upon conversion, when you have certain intercepts on the X, Y, and Z, then you take those intercepts and then take reciprocal of those intercepts, and that is your HKL, or like we did 2, 1, 2, the value of HKL, which is the Miller indices. Let's move to parallel planes and other things slowly. So first we start with this thing called the zero index. Let's see what is a zero index. So you can have lattice plane. What does it say? It says, what happens if we have a lattice plane that does not intercept all three axes? It can happen all the time. You do not have intercept on all the three axes. So with respect to some axis, this plane is actually parallel. What do we see here? This plane, this purple plane, is parallel with respect to which axis? The z axis, right? It does not have an intercept on the z axis. Look clearly. That's the origin behind the plane. Okay, the plane is obstructing the origin. Actually, it is intercepting this place, let's say less than half, maybe 1/4 or something like that, and this is 1, and then there is no intercept there. That means it is infinity, let's say. Okay, it says that, okay, in y-axis, okay, it is actually half. Sorry, if I take a scale, then this is not 1/4. So around this to this, yeah, it is same, because that's the unit cell. I was not looking carefully. Hello, somebody wanted to say something? Okay. Now I have x-axis, that means A1, B is half, and C, it will never intercept, it's infinity. So that means if I take the intercepts, I will get index of 1 for this x, and this k index will be 2. But what do we do with the L? It's infinity. So when we have infinity, actually when you take reciprocal, we will get 0. Okay. So what we will have is 1, 2, 0. Okay. So it was actually 1/2 infinity, and it now became 1, 2, 0. That's how you take care of the parallel planes which are parallel to some axis. So first we did a positive set of indices, and then we saw a zero index actually. We saw some zero indices, and now we go to negative indices or a negative index. We take an example of a negative index. Let's say how to do that. Negative Miller index. Same unit cell. Now we say that, look, our origin is not here. This time let's shift the origin here. And shifting of origin is permissible in Miller indices. It's just that your values of the planes will change. But since you see, when you are doing a crystal structure or anything for practical purposes, you are basically going to use different origins, because you may be looking at it from different sides. You may be forced to look at it from different sides, in fact, in order to get a clue about a plane. So this is very practical and understood that you may have to shift the origins in order to index a plane. So you need to use, in this case, that's why, for this particular plane, because otherwise if you take this as origin, you will feel, oh, it's passing through the origin. So that will create a problem. Clearly, this plane is not comfortable when you take this one as origin and try to calculate. So you have to take a different origin. That's why we move the origin. When we move this origin here, we find that, okay, this is our x. The y positive direction was this side. So this is the back side. That means the negative quadrant. Okay, so this side will be negative y. And this is positive z. Right? So now we see where are the planes intersecting. For x it is 1. For y it is -1. And for z it is half. Okay. So that means I have 1, -1 and half. Now reciprocal, so then I will get what? I will get 1, -1, 2, right? So when I have -1, in Miller indices, you write that as 1 bar. In fact, in crystallography, you write -1 always as 1 bar, -2, 2 bar, like that. So the number on top of that, you put a bar. That for those who may still have problem, just imagine that you put the minus sign on top of the digit instead of beside the digit like you do in regular mathematics. That's the exception. So this reads as 1, 1 bar, 2. That's the plane. That's a negative Miller index. Okay. So to recapitulate, we saw how to index a plane. We need to take reciprocal of the intercepts, and then we saw that planes can be parallel to the z-axis or x-axis or y-axis. We saw one example, and accordingly that intercept will be 0 because it is reciprocal, and so infinity will become 0 now. So now another case, we saw a negative index and how we put a bar to denote a negative index. Next. Now we will see that how we look into parallel lattice planes. Okay, this is very important. So this is a lattice plane. What does it say? So if you look, the plane intercepts at -a. Is it -a? Look at where the x is. So it is telling that it is -x. So each one, this is -a, this is -2a, right? So it has given me the axis. So -a. And then b by 2, because it is half here. So along y is b, so b by 2. And along z it is half of the z, that means c by 2. That's what you have. So you have -1, half, and half, right? That means you already know that it's a -1, half, and half means if you take reciprocal, it will be 1 bar, 2, and 2. So it's a 1 bar, 2, 2 plane. Fine. Now, how about that you have an intercept at minus 2a and your y instead of half is 1 and z instead of half is 1. That means the new plane that you are telling, and you can clearly see that it is parallel, these two planes. But is this plane going to have a different Miller index? That's what we are going to look at. So this plane, the first one we just saw a couple of minutes back, and that one's index was what? We had, it's a 1 bar 2 2 plane. Then we came in and we doubled all the values. So instead of x, instead of it being 1, we made it 2. So minus 1 became minus 2. Y half, we doubled it to 1. Z half, doubled it to 1. That means we got another parallel plane. And this plane will have what? Minus 2 and then 1 and 1. Okay, right? So now if you take the reciprocal, so we will have minus 2 1 1. So what do we do now? So if we take this, sorry, if we take, so if we have this plane, then the the intercepts at the x-axis is minus 2a, y-axis b, and z-axis c is 1 1, right? So that means if we take reciprocals now, I will get, what do I get? Look at these values. Disadvantage is I cannot write on this one, the pen doesn't work. Okay, so minus half because of these two. This one, 1 by 1 is 1 and 1 by 1 is 1, so that is not a problem, but minus half is there. So one, when you took the reciprocal, it actually, now you introduced a fraction. So in order to take that fraction out, what you have to do, you have to multiply throughout by how much? If we want to take minus half, that means minus half 1 1, I have to multiply throughout by what? 2. So I will have 1 bar, because it is minus half. Look, so x-axis is minus 2a. So minus 2a means, if you have pen and paper, start writing. So when you take reciprocals, it will become minus 2 will become minus, it will be 1 by. Y-axis is 1, so it will become 1 by 1 is 1. Z-axis is also 1, so 1 by 1 is 1. So now you have both, all the three. So minus half, 1 and 1. Now if you see, this is, since this is a fraction, so I have to make it integer, so I multiply by 2. As soon as I multiply by 2, this becomes minus 1, this becomes 2, this becomes 2. So I have minus 1 2 2. That means 1 bar 2 2. Correct? So 1 bar 2 2 was the same result even for this particular plane, the one that was here at the first one. So the parallel Miller, that means the parallel planes, they have the same Miller indices. No matter how far you go, you can simplify this and you can go on doing this family of planes. Okay, those which are cut here, you can see like this, is because they are extending to next lattice. So I do not have so many of them, so I had to draw the boundary here. Okay, so that is the thing. So you can see that you can have parallel set of planes and they will have the same Miller indices. So that means we can go on sliding the axis, because we can shift the axis, as I said, and we can do again indices from here to here. This is also possible. In such a case, what will happen? Say for example, now we have, this is the x-axis, this is the minus z, that is the minus y. Okay, because we had earlier here, this was positive z going upwards. So if we take here, then downwards is negative z. And this one was y. This one was minus x. So this side was positive x. So you see, this side is positive x. And since you are moving backwards now, so I have minus y. Clear? This is origin. So from here, I move the origin here. Now I have minus z, minus y, and x. So this first plane, if I look at, then it is actually the x intercepts at, first one is intersecting at 1 or a, 1a. Okay. then the y is at minus half, that means minus b by 2, and then the z is at again minus half, so that means minus c by 2. So I have 1 minus half minus half, correct? Then I take reciprocal, it becomes what? 1, because 1 by 1 is 1, minus half, reciprocal is minus 2, minus half again, and that one's reciprocal is minus 2, and we know that we want to put the 2 as the minus sign as bar, so 1 and 2, 2 bar, 2 bar. Okay, since both the bars are there, so they continuously they are represented like this when they are side by side. You may represent them separately, it is more convenient, and many places it will do that. Sometimes people do this, but that's not necessarily correct. I generally like preferring the bars separately, and the IUPAC is actually saying that it should be separate. I don't know why, maybe some mistake they have made. The same as so, but now what do we see? This one is actually, the previous one was 1 bar 2 2. This is what? This is same, but multiplied by a minus sign. So 1 bar to 2, I multiply with a minus 1, then I get 1 2 bar 2 bar, right? So that means they are also related and parallel. So you should be always knowing that when you see 1 bar 2 2 2 plane, then that is same as 1 2 bar 2 bar plane, because you are just shifting the origin to other side and looking at the plane. So somebody must have done that to look at it. That's the advantage of Miller indices. So since the crystal is rotated and measured, in the XRD, so from all sides these values it sees, and now it knows where it coincides. As a result of which, you can imagine that you will ultimately, although it's much more complex, but you can get a feel already that if I go on doing this for a certain structure, then actually I'm supposed to be able to deduce the lattice planes in that structure, right? So that's the advantage of Miller indices, and it's also very simple without using any equation for straight line, which can be very cumbersome here. You just are expressing a equation for plane, which can be very cumbersome here. You are just using Miller indices and representing a plane. Actually, Miller indices can be converted into plane, vice versa, and I don't know if I'll get time, but you can look into this side. It's pretty good enough, and we don't need to do that right over here. It's not really a must to do that. So there we go. Any questions until this, people? Any part you did not get?
Please repeat the last step.
Sorry, I did not get that question. Can you repeat the question, please?
Could you please repeat the last statement you made?
Yeah. So
-1.
So okay, so when you have a 3D structure, so you can be different people can be looking at it from different directions, right, and making their origins separate. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Now Miller indices, because of these rules, that that when you take reciprocal you get Miller indices. Even after that, if you don't get, then you have to multiply with a common number for all of this, then you get Miller indices. After that, whatever you get, you might multiply with a negative sign and you will get the same plane back again. You know these rules. These rules are clear because you see that they are same, like kind of, isn't it? So they give the same family of planes. You saw this, right?
Yes, sir.
So that tells you, so since you now know the rules, if somebody has found in a structure 1 bar 2 2 and your result is 1 2 2 bar, you don't get frustrated anymore. You know that, oh, we have just found two parallel planes. It's the same plane, two parallel ones lying at different portions of the lattice, depending on where we started the origin. So both of our answers are correct. Do you get my point?
Okay, sir.
So that is the thing. So that means you are understanding the lattice better, isn't it? As a result of this, that you are able to solve it this way. So you know that this lattice is moving in this particular way. Otherwise, if that periodicity was missing, you wouldn't have got these two planes. Isn't that correct? Hello.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
that means when a crystal is measured by instrument, if this is also taken into account, then the structure actually takes this into account. That's the utility of Miller indices. It is done automatically. There are a lot more mathematics to it. It's not so simple, but you can get a feel already. You start to get a feel that the Miller indices is a very powerful and simplified way of representing crystal field, crystal lattice planes and finding out lattice positions. Correct? Am I correct in saying that? It's much better than equation of a straight line or a plane, right? It's much simple, isn't it? You don't have to solve so much. Correct. I hope you get this. Do ask questions if you don't. Don't worry. This is a nice animation. I like using this actually. This is very good. Now these planes, they are separated by a distance, right? All the time. So this distance between the two planes is called the distance between HKLs. So the parallel planes will have a distance of, okay, DHKL between them. Let's look into this in a bit more way. So we say that we are in an orthogonal lattice. And what is the thing about orthogonal lattice? We know that in orthogonal lattice, A is not equal to B, not equal to C. Remember, but the angles alpha, beta, and gamma are equal to 90 degree. So if you have forgotten, then I hope by now you can recollect whatever I am saying. In an orthogonal system, I repeat, A is not equal to B, is not equal to C in terms of the ABC sides. That means this and this side and this side. But all these angles between ABC axis, they are 90 degree. Let us take that and then we start doing this. So in an orthogonal system, the lattice parameters are given by what? 1 by DHKL square. For this, we get generally H by A, K by B, and L by C, H1 square. This is how we can define it. Okay. Now, if we, for this particular example, let us take one of the planes. We take that A is equal to B equal to C equal to 5 angstrom. We just simplify it. And H is equal to -1, K is equal to 2, and L is equal to 2. Again, we just take it. So this is very nice. We already know 1 bar 2 2. We just solve the plane. And we take that, okay, let A equal to B equal to C equal to 5 angstrom, because that way it will be easy for the math to be understood. So that means you will say that, okay, I can put these values, because when I started this, I used this equation. So I have all the common ABC values put into this equation here, and the plane values, HKL values here. And I get that, okay, D1 bar 2 2 is equal to 5 by 3 angstrom. So this way you found out that you can actually, you can find the distance between the HKL planes using that equation. What was that? I repeat. What happened? Yeah. So 1 by DHKL square is equal to H by A square plus K by B square plus L by C square, where HKL are the Miller indices and ABC are your three axes in the Cartesian coordinates, which is same as X, Y, and Z. DHKL is the distance between the planes. When you solve this, you ultimately end up with a 5 by 3 angstrom. That is the value. Fine. Now let us draw the four planes. How do four planes? 1 bar 2 multiplied by 2 bar multiplied by 2 will give you 2 bar 4 4, right? Now we do this, and again when we put the values, we find is 5 by 6. So when you double the indices, you get planes parallel to the original with half the d spacing, because you have doubled them and they are basically reciprocal. So that means they are coming more close, right? Because half becomes 2 after reciprocating. So 1/4 becomes 4. So 1/4 is more half. As a result of which, when you are multiplying this by bigger numbers, your planes that you are seeing are getting, they are parallel planes and they are just more closer to each other now. So that means the d spacing is going to accordingly change. Since 2 and 4 are related by half to each other, so 1 bar 2 2 and 2 bar 4 4 will be also related by half. So what happens is, when you double the indices, your planes parallel will, the parallel planes will be half the d spacing. If you look, the earlier one was, the earlier one was 5 by 3. See, and when I took this plane, it is becoming now 5 by 6 angstrom. So more you solve this, you realize that these are really very simple things which gives you a very powerful set of information actually. That is why Miller indices is loved by people so much. And it is accepted by even like for engineering purposes and everywhere in the software, it is easy to input. So that is why this is so nice. So now we have that, okay, we know that we can make these planes and we can also index them. So now let us see.
Sir,
Yes.
so the formula to find the distance using the Miller indices and the Cartesian coordinates, where did we get that from?
That is from actually straight line equation, sorry, plane equation, but you don't need to deduce it. Where is that? You can just, this is a very simple formula. This is basically coming from solving equation of planes. Okay. So that's not, we don't need to do that here, but you just take this one from there. Distance between planes, when you find, this is the kind of equation that you use, and here you use the indices versus the intercepts, or the axis lengths rather to say. The intercepts are the axis lengths. So now you have HKL, which is the Miller indices, and these are the axis lengths. So that is what you used. Okay. So it is always that reciprocal of distance square is equal to index by the respective axis length square. So you have 3 dimensions. So you will have 3 indexes and 3 axes, all of their square. That's how it goes. Okay.
All right, sir.
So this is like, you know, when you do a plus b whole square is equal to x square plus b square plus 2abc, kind of that kind of thing. Like for planes, I don't remember the entire thing of the planes, but I think you guys should be able to actually chalk it out better. Look into the equation of planes and finding distance between 2 parallel planes. You will see this is there already. There is something that you have already done. It's just that this time it is in terms of HKL and ABC, making it more simple. That's all. So now we need to be able to draw lattice planes. So when we did indexing, what we did is we chose the correct point of reference. What is the point of reference? The point of reference is the origin. Now here we have our conventional origin. Okay, there is the origin, that's x, y, z. Fine. We can also move along origin, okay, depending on what we are trying to do. Like here, so we took a conventional lattice point, and then we can always change things. You can have negative, positive, and so see, there we go, right? Now we can, you can get a feel for this. This one was positive side. Here I had the origin, I moved the origin here. We did it before also. I'm just reproducing it again. The side, so that even if you have forgotten, by the time you came to this lesson, it reminds you. So this is minus x. Since we are doing continuously, so we don't need to do that. So now,
Sir, I have a question.
yes,
That parallel planes have similar Miller indices, but should we consider that the Miller indices of them are exactly same, or
the Miller
like
indices of parallel planes at, see, the Miller indices of parallel planes at a certain distance are exactly same. That's what I proved, right? When I change the distance, when I change the indices, did you notice that I changed the indices and the distance changed?
Yeah, that's so they are
So
similar, but we shouldn't say it's exactly same. Like
it is
the
same. It is same. Now I can simplify that plane, right? So you have done more than just looking at the plane. Okay, I know where you have a problem. So we have done more than just looking at the plane. So if for 2 bar 4 4, I can write it is 1 bar 2 2. There is no problem with that because it's a parallel plane. But what information are you looking at? What you are trying to find? That is what this plane shows you. Because in real life, in a crystal, do you want to find out that whether the atoms are sitting only in 1 bar 2 2 or they are also sitting somewhere in a half positions? That is 2 bar 4 4. That means the symmetry is higher. You get my point? So are they sitting only at the corner of the cubes or also they are sitting in between the edge lengths? Does that help? Because that's half the length. So the corner of the cubes are also parallel, and these positions, you see this, look at the computer screen, here, 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 and here. If I put 4 atoms, right, it will be in between, middle of these 4 edges. They will be also parallel to these 2 planes, right? But when I put atoms here, and if I see that yes, atoms are there here, then that plane tells me that okay, I have now a higher symmetry, I have more periodicity, not just at these corners, but I also have atoms here. So it did not just only find out the equations, the notations for the plane, we also found out that we can measure the distances between the planes and thus use that distance to actually calculate where the atom positions are in the lattice. So indexes of parallel planes will be same, 1 bar 2 2. You can say 2 bar 4 4 is another set of parallel planes sitting at half the distance. If you do not say that, then it is same as 1 bar 2 2. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because I can always simplify it as 1 bar 2 2. But the 2 planes are parallel. That means they are not sitting at the same place. They are not coinciding planes. That's what we are trying to emphasize here. They are same with respect to the point of reference, which is the origin. They will be sitting at different distances, but they will behave in a similar fashion when it comes to the original reference, that is the origin. That's it. So you can use 2 bar 4 4 and say that it is a different parallel plane. There is no problem in that. You can say 2 bar 4 4 is belonging to the same set of 1 bar 2 2. There is no problem with that. It just gives you more versatility to represent. And if somebody asks you that, see, 2 bar 4 4, the distance between these planes and the distance between 1 bar 2 2, will they be similar? You say no, they cannot be, because you have changed the distance. However, 1 bar 2 2 is sitting at certain edge lengths, and you have just doubled the distance, and you have got now 2 bar 4 4. Sorry, half the distance. Okay, and you have got 2 bar 4 4. Do you get my point, or shall I go back to this one again?
no, sir, I got it. So we are just we are considering that they are parallel, so they need not coincide, and the
They
distance
will not.
may also change.
Remember
Like
that.
they
No,
won't.
not need not. They will not.
Yeah,
Or they will not.
but when we just like if we multiply with -1, we are the distance remains same, and they might coincide as well, right?
When you multiply with minus, there is a that you might be looking at the same plane. That's correct, 100%. Now you
Yeah.
got it. Very nice. Okay, because you are actually looking at from different perspectives, looking at very far corners instead of a just simple unit cell and the plane. It depends on the plane. You might be looking at, so if, say, what I am trying to say, let me go to that animation. Just give me a moment. Oh no, I am in a different place. I will clarify this better to you. Let the other one come. There. So when I took, I was looking at this. The original plane was here. But if this was merged, that these two came, like their intercepts were here to here to here. So wow. And also it's not. So I am talking 1 1 1 1 1 1. Is that clear to you? 1 1 1. The plane will be from here, Z, and then this Y. This is 1 1 1. X axis intercept 1, Y axis intercept 1, Z axis intercept 1. At this plane, if I look at from this point as origin or this point as origin, they will be the same plane. You get? Because only multiplied by -1. Let me see. I will share a different window. Your silence is telling me that you are not
No,
getting.
no, sir, I got it. Like, if we shift the origin in this,
Because it is in the
that way
middle
also-
of the unit cell. That's what I am trying to say. You get it? I am looking from the middle of the unit cell. So that is how I can actually change it. That so I can actually go on shifting. So I will try to the different one. Just one moment. Give me a. How do I share this? One you are presenting. Stop. And then present now a window, and I need this PowerPoint. There we go. Can you see this PowerPoint?
Yes,
People,
sir.
yeah. So let me do it with a parallel plane. It is very easy to visualize because my example otherwise may not be right all the time. No, you don't think. I am always habituated to solve things. My memory goes very poor. So unless I'll be remembering certain simple things and then solving. So let's take this plane. Let me use a different ink. Once I take this as the Y, X, Z. Another time I take as this one, Z minus Y. Okay. And let's take this way, minus X, like this. Okay. So this plane will be same from both the point of reference, right? It is sitting in between, correct? Because you have just changed the origin. So you can multiply by minus and you can find that out. So such cases, you might be changing your point of reference, but you will actually not have anything different. You will basically have the same thing. You get me? This is the thing I'm trying to say. Now let me go to this window again, and you will be able to. Right? Did it come? Can you people see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The
Okay,
site
okay,
is
okay.
visible.
Okay, fine. So that is how you actually go on changing the planes. Now this is the last part of the class where we will draw some planes. That will, I think, make things more clear. So we saw change of origin. This you already saw it. Now let us start doing something. Maybe we will try to draw one plane quickly. Yeah, that's it. So we have drawn it. So if you look at this plane, you see you have gone from, so this is your origin over here. Okay, so you have gone from here. This is, let's say, half. So Z axis is half, X axis is -1, Y axis is half. So if you have been asked to draw this plane, then because you have a negative indexes, you see this is a negative index, right, on the X. So it is easy for you to imagine the origin here. You get, if you would have imagined the origin here, you would have to draw another unit cell to draw that plane. That's not logical, right? Then what is the point? So that is why you shift the origin, because then you can easily go to -1 here. Similarly, if the Y was minus, then you would have to shift the origin this side, because then you will get the -Y on this side. If the Z is minus, then you shift the origin towards the top, because then you get the -Z at the bottom. When all three are minus, you put it here and mark accordingly, or put it here. Okay. and then mark according. Even not here, actually, you have to put it here. Sorry, because minus x, minus y, minus z. Do you get me? See, minus x, minus z, and minus y. Shifting the origin here. That means all minus. For that, you have to shift the origin here. Maybe if we do, then it will be better. Okay. Draw your own lattice plane. Let me come here. That way it will be better. We'll draw the other things we'll do later. This let me clear. So here it has been told to you. Draw the plane 1, 1, 1. Where it should go through. I cannot draw here, but I can click this one like this, this. These are my intercept. One is here. One is here and one is here, right? Because if I take reciprocal of 1, 1, 1, it will give you 1, 1, 1 only. So the plane should be like a triangle which is intersecting at z, y, and x. View. That's it is. That's how it is. Now let us take. We'll put our values. We have to use semicolons. 2, semicolon, 1, semicolon, 1. So now 2 is where? On x-axis. Reciprocal is half, so it should be somewhere here. Half. The other ones are 1 and 1, so it should be coming like this, the plane. There we go. Right? Now I make this one also 2. So again, I made the y-axis also half, so it should be here. The rest will be intact. There we go. Now I make this one also 2. So then this should be here. There we go. This is a half intercept. So 2, 2, 2. Reciprocal, right? Half reciprocal, 2, 2, 2. I say 3, 1, 1. 3 means what is the reciprocal? Intercept will be where? Anybody? Come on. It should be faster.
1/3 of x.
Yes, 1/3 of x. Why does it take so much time? See, please do remember this whenever I am going through a class or anybody else is. You are doing mathematics, you are doing physics, you are doing chemistry. I have learned them long back. You have to be at least 1,000 times faster than I am in terms of calculations. Okay. Otherwise, you will be able to do nothing. Believe me. So you better practice. So 1/3 means I have to cut this into 3 intercepts. 1, 2, 3, somewhere around here maybe. And the other ones will be 1 and 1. So they will be here. There we go. See, that's a plane. And what will be the parallel plane to 311? Anybody? Can you name a parallel plane to 311? Use a different index. Otherwise, you can say always a 311 ka parallel plane 311 here. That is correct. But like, give me a new index. What do we do? What was the rule? We multiply. So it becomes 6, 2, 2. While doing this multiplication, remember which one you are multiplying with. I have seen students in earlier years writing 311 and writing 633. They forgot by the time they are doing the second multiplication what they started the multiplication with. That is your fault. Don't expect number for that. Okay. This is a very common mistake that happens, and this is really wrong because you have made a wrong plane. Now you view this, and what you will see is values must be below 6 because it is taken. Okay. So that the reason is because it is in 1 unit cell. So this drawing cannot be changed. So I can understand that. Don't worry about that. So we will do 2, 1, 4. Let's do this one, the last plane, and then I will leave you. So 2 means half. Intercept will be somewhere around here for x-axis. For y-axis, it is 1. For z-axis, it is how much intercept? Where should it cut?
1/4.
1/4. So somewhere around here maybe. So view. There we go. Right. So you can use this site and practice. You see, the beauty is you put your plane value here. Don't look at the answer. First you draw in your piece of paper with the pen, and then you try to view and see, did you make a mistake? So I can say minus 2, does it give? Difficult, yeah, it's going to be difficult to see the minus because it is fixed. But anyway, you can do it in other places. The negative indices will have a problem because you can imagine that it's not going to be that easy, no? Yeah, this is going to be, visualization is going to be a bit awkward because, but you should be able to still figure out. Let us try maybe. This is minus half, right? So minus half on x-axis. So that means I have to shift my origin, correct or wrong? It's difficult here, no? But you can see this is x. So that side is minus x. If I shift my origin here, this place, look at this place. Look at my mouse cursor. Here you imagine. Where is your x now? X is here. Minus x is that side. Y is this side. Minus y is that side. Z is this side. Minus z is this side. Sit here. Sit here. This is the origin. Now, what is the plane? Minus 2. That means minus half. That is minus x. Minus half will be here. Right there. Then minus y. So minus 1 by 1 is minus 1. So I will have minus 1 here. Z is 4. That means 1/4. So I will have it here. So that's the plane. Not that difficult. But it is, I understand that you are shifting the origin with the same animation. But you should be able to actually visualize. The earlier one was too small to visualize because the alignment will be so bad. But this one is better. So like this way you have to do it. Okay. So next day we'll be completing Miller indices. Then we'll move to symmetry. So we'll do some more on this one, and next day it should be over. Fine, people. No problem now. I hope everybody got it. Yes.
I didn't quite get the. Oh, I got it. Never mind.
You did not get the plane?
No, I did. I saw it again just now.
Yeah, so this is the origin. Remember that. The problem that happens is you get confused between x and y. I have talked to many students. I know this over the years. You get confused between x and y when you shift the origin. Just be careful between x and y. Z is very easy to figure out. It is the x and y that people make mistake. In a hurry. If you are doing it slowly, there is no scope of mistake. You people are very good for that one. So there is no scope of mistake. So just mention that. Okay, fine. Anybody having a question? Great. So we'll stop now.